a strong, sturdy base, we cut and carved up a whole bunch of EVA foam. We primed and painted that foam to look like wood. We made some straps from scratch and dolled up the handle quite a bit. And now, we get to see it all come together in our final episode of our custom Harley Quinn Mallet video series. Supplies for this episode include everything that we've made up until now, contact cement, and paint and a paper towel. My glue of choice for this build is contact cement. It's strong, it has a long working time, and you can spread it across large areas really easily. We got a lot of stuff to glue, so that's a major plus. So, start by attaching your end caps. You can make things easier by giving yourself guidelines for your glue. Go ahead and just sit the mallet base down onto the end cap, position it how you like it, and trace out the base. One big thing to keep in mind about these end caps is that we spent all this time making them awesome. We gotta make sure they're positioned in a way that best shows them off, so they aren't like upside down or tilted weird, you know. So, to show myself where the bottom center of the cap is, I just make a little dash with Sharpie. This way I have a reference on the back side for where the middle is. If you line that dash up with the handle, your cap design should be upright. Using a disposable sponge brush, apply glue all around the circle. Doesn't have to be exactly on the line in case your placement is a little bit off. I just keep the glue like in that general area. Also apply some glue around the rim of the forming tube as well. We are going to wait a few minutes for the glue to get tacky before sticking the pieces together. For all of you makeup babes new to the world of cosplay, think of this glue like eyelash glue or spirit gum. If you attach the pieces straight away while the contact cement is still gooey and wet, they will slide all around and not stick at all. But if you wait a few for the glue to dry a little bit and get tacky, you'll have a much easier time getting the pieces to stick. So after a few minutes go by, line up the rim of our tube with the circle on the end cap, and line up the handle with the little dash mark marking the bottom center. Give your end caps plenty of time to dry before you put the mallet on its side, which will rely on the end caps to hold it up. But once they're dry, we can start sticking the boards on. I start on the top and work my way down. I want my boards to be flush against each other, but obviously we have this little support beam top cap right in the middle, right in our way. So we're gonna have to carve out a little circle from the top two boards to accommodate this top cap. As with most of this project, I'm eyeballing the placement of this. I just prop the board up on the mallet, mark the center, and use my rotary tool to slowly carve away at the foam. I carve out a half moon shape slowly, checking periodically that it is still the right shape and fit by holding it back up to the mallet. And same thing with the black top board too. Mark the middle of the board and carve a half moon into it. That should give us a nice custom housing for the top cap. Now that they will fit around the top cap, apply contact cement to the middle of the board and to the edges. Pretty much everywhere that will be making contact with the mallet base. Now set that board aside so that the glue has some time to dry a little bit, and use this time to glue up the matching contact points on the base, the middle area, and up along the edges of the end caps. Once your glue is all ready to go in its prime stickiness, pop that board on there. And that's the basic gist of assembling this whole mallet. If you are having trouble getting your EVA to form to the mallet, you can still use heat at this stage in the process to make it more flexible. If you get wrinkles in your paint from bending or flexing the foam, heat that area with your heat gun, and the Plasti Dip primer that we used should smooth right back out. Heating wrinkled areas is not a solution for all primers and all paint types, and it certainly depends on the level of wrinkliness, but it is one of the big reasons that I like to use Plasti Dip. It is a forgiving and flexible base. And you may notice that I have sanded the edges of the wooden boards. I just did that so you wouldn't see the manufactured grippy texture of the EVA foam if it overhangs the end cap at all. While I wait for the glue to get tacky, I use some black acrylic paint to cover up the Sharpie lines, any paint drips that got on the base or the backside of our end caps. Optional, of course, but a productive way to spend weights time. When working with a strong, fumey glue or chemicals of any type, always work in a well-ventilated area. If you have to work inside, make sure you open the windows and turn on a fan, even if it's February and freezing outside. The fumes from contact cement are no joke, dude. Alright, so now we reach the bottom, which is where I ran into trubs because I did not measure these boards back in episode 1. Turns out, they are way too big to fit all of the boards on there, which when you're eyeballing this stuff, it happens. No big, just have to make some mods as we go. I ended up cutting probably 1.5 inches, maybe more, of these 2 bottom boards to make them fit in there. Just cut a little bit at a time and check it against the mallet until it's nice and snuggly down in there, the perfect custom little fit. Odds are, if you were just guessing on the size of your boards, like I did, it's not going to be a perfectly perfect fit, unless you're like a superhero or something. So if your boards aren't too big like mine, they might be too small like Lydia's. In this case, I would just cut out a skinnier custom little piece to fill up that gap right there. Again, just fitting the foam as you go until it's perfect. And if having an odd number of boards throws off your paint job, you could always do something like this to tie it together. Since my boards were too big and I hacked them down to size, I had a bunch of these little strips left over that were already painted and carved like wood. So, turns out, it was kind of a happy little accident to make these wood panels too big, because now I have a bunch of strips that I can use to fill in the gaps between the boards. I just cut them until they fit each individual little opening and hot glue them down in there. It worked out great. Now we grab our straps that we made in episode 4 and cover the back in contact cement. Hang out for a little bit while they get tacky, and then once it's tacky, just wrap it around the base. The last thing to glue onto our mallet is the silver bolts. I am using wooden plugs that I painted with a metallic silver spray paint. I've also heard that you can use googly eyes painted silver, that it also works for the bolt type look, though I've never used it myself. The idea is very entertaining to me though. Contact cement the bolts where you want them. I centered 1 bolt per board along each strap. 6 boards, 2 straps, 12 bolts. Copy? And then we just have our final paint, our last looks. Now that every piece is in place, go in and grunge up around all of the 3D elements again. That means on and around the bolts, adding grunge to the newly placed straps, and dirtying up the wood boards one final time. And I mean all of the boards. It may seem like a waste of time dirtying up the black boards because they are dark already, and it doesn't immediately jump out at you as an obvious detail, but trust me, for continuity of the project and for texture and finish, I definitely recommend throwing some brown paint on the black pieces to add a visible grunge. And there we go! Oh my gosh, that is some fine Mallet-y goodness. Thank you so much for watching this whole series. I know it was a lot to take in, but I really wanted to make sure that I could include all the detail I needed to so that you guys could make it as well. And thanks to everyone who has been making this mallet along with me. It just makes my heart so full to see all of these recreations. I am truly just so impressed and proud of what you guys are making. It is so cool. You guys are awesome. Alright, voiceover me is out of here. Cut to naive Alexa, who thought this was going to be just one video. LOL. Okay, bye. Thank you so much for watching today's cosplay tutorial. If you liked it, make sure that you subscribe and then hit the little bell so that you get notified when I upload. Maybe. Will you? No one knows. It's a fun game YouTube's playing, huh? Speaking of, big thanks to my favorite viewers who joined me for the real-time live stream making of Harley's mallet over on Twitch. I'm new over there and it has been such a joy to be able to hang out with you guys and chat while I work on my crafts. Alright, so that is it for this one. If you want to see more Mikey crafty time, you can check out our last collab over there. If you want to to see more Harley crafty time, you can check out that video over there. And of course, subscribe to our channels. Alright, that's it for today. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye! Mwah!